Jai Shri Ramanuj. Jai Shri Ramanuj. Jai Shri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome Mother Saraswati on the third day at the Sri Narayan Dham, and I welcome those that watching this discourse locally, nationally, internationally. I welcome those of you that are physically present here at the Sri Narayan Dham, and I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups and YouTube subsequently. Today, this relationship between Mother Saraswati and Lord Sri Ramanuj and Vishishtadvaita makes it personal. 1,000 years ago, when this earth was in spiritual darkness, with a sliver of spirituality penetrating this material atmosphere by the 12 Alvars, Nata Muni, Ramanujacharya, the great Lord Sri Ramanuj took his birth. And in removing the towering clouds of darkness in the form of ignorance from the minds of the populace of both South and North India, the source of spirituality and Vedanta, Lord Sri Ramanuj made great sacrifices. He traveled the journey of the 12 Alvars that preceded him over thousands and thousands of years. And in doing so, and to fulfill the request of his Guru, Ramanujacharya, Lord Sri Ramanuj went to the north of India in the country of Kashmir. Kashmir, at that point in time, had the University of Mother Saraswati. The University of Mother Saraswati, with all knowledge, all spiritual and scriptural knowledge, was in that university. However, immediately after the darkness of Buddhism came the transtheistic philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya. And it was this philosophy that was predominating the minds of India at that point in time. And when Lord Sri Ramanuj arrived at Kashmir, it was not simple or easy for him to expound the Vishishtadvaita or absolute Vedanta, for at that time he had not completed his life's masterpiece, the Sri Bhashya, or the commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. Whilst involved in a lively debate, for this was the norm in those years, to debate and refute unworthy philosophies as per Vedic injunctions. And if you sat with 100 people and you debated and you were successful in proving Vedanta as it really is, then those that with whom you debated, they would succumb to your philosophy. That's how simple it was in those years, those many years ago. So Lord Sri Ramanuj, as per this tradition, debated with the local priests the philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya and also the philosophy of simultaneous difference and non-difference. And he refuted both these philosophies. And in his refutation, the king of Kashmir was so impressed in these lively debates that he himself attended this debate. And quite rightfully, and which is a must for every aspiring spiritualist, is to ask the preacher that what you are preaching, where does that preaching take its precedence from? Where is that truth or absolute truth that you are preaching, where can it be found as per scriptural injunctions? And when the king asked Lord Sri Ramanuj this important question, then Lord Sri Ramanuj answered him and told him that a disciple or the disciple of Srila Vedavyas Bodhayana had completed a commentary on Vedavyas's Vedanta Sutra, and that commentary explained Vedanta as it really is. For only a disciple of a guru can decipher the guru's message perfectly. Only a disciple of a guru can decipher his guru's message perfectly. Does it make sense? A disciple of another guru cannot decipher absolutely the message or composition of another guru more perfectly than his own disciple. Is it logical? If you are a maths teacher and you teach a theory to your pupil, then it is your pupil who can expound the theory in the perfection that it was received, and not another pupil who learnt another theory from another teacher, or the same theory from another teacher. You understand? So Vedavyas is the principal source of all knowledge in writing. Vedavyas is the source, is the compiler of all scriptural knowledge in writing, and his disciple Bodhayana, he will be able to give the absolute understanding or the absolute purport of his guru's writings. And when Lord Sri Ramanuj informed the king of this situation and told the king that that commentary of Bodhayana is now lodged in the university at Kashmir, and the king can verify this debate of Vedanta by referring to the commentary on Bodhi or by Bodhayana on Vedanta Sutra. And the king succumbed to this request, and he was overjoyed when he found that that debate, which Sri Ramanuj was engrossed with the priest of Kashmir, and the value and the injunctions that Lord Sri Ramanuj preached in his debate, was the same as the commentary of Bodhayana, which was lodged in the University of Mother Saraswati under the king's custodianship. It was tradition in that time that if you had to use any of the books of that library, you had to make a summarized request. And Lord Sri Ramanuj made a summarized request called the Vedanta Sara, whereby he did a summary of the commentary of Bodhayana on the Vedanta Sutras of Srila Vedavyas. And as per tradition and custom, there were rituals performed, and this summary of Vedanta Sara, which is called Vedanta Sara, which can be found, which is one of the 9 writings of Lord Sri Ramanuj, this Vedanta Sara was placed in the hands of the Murti of Mother Saraswati. And as per tradition, that room was locked and guarded by the king's guards, and the key was taken away. And the next morning, accompanying the king was Lord Sri Ramanuj, and when they opened that sanctum, they found to their amazement that that scripture of Vedanta Sara, which was placed in the hands of Mother Saraswati, now appeared on her crown. That summary of the Vedanta Sutras by Lord Sri Ramanuj, called the Vedanta Sara, which was placed in a ritual, which was tradition at that point in time at that Saraswati Peeth, that scripture in a locked room now landed on the crown of Mother Saraswati. What is the significance of this? What is the significance of the Vedanta Sara placed in the hands of Mother Saraswati is now lying on her head? What is the significance? I'm talking to you.
Shows the value she placed in it.
She blessed it as absolute. She blessed it as absolute. The Vedanta Sara conveys Vedanta Sutra in its absolute state, subsequently to Sri Ramanuj, called Vishishtadvaita. So this Vedanta Sara, which is the fountainhead of the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, or Vedanta in its absolute form, was blessed by Mother Saraswati herself And this is the reason I have been giving these discourses in this temperament, because Vishishtadvaita is absolute. It is absolute in every dimension that you look at this philosophy with. There is no millimeter of mistake in this philosophy. There are no contradictions, apparent or otherwise. This philosophy is absolute from whichever way you view it. And we view it today from Mother Saraswati herself, in the dimension of Mother Saraswati, who is the source of spiritual knowledge herself. She endorsed Lord Sri Ramanuj as the foremost Vaishnava saint by taking this Vedanta Sara and placing it on a crown. And in a disembodied voice, she stated to the entire assembly that she loved the description of Lord Sri Ramanuj when he described the eyes of Lord Narayan as full-bloomed lotuses. In a disembodied voice, she stated this. And the king himself was so overjoyed that he allowed Sri Ramanuj to stay as a celebrity in his kingdom for a few days. However, where there's good, there's bad, there's envy, there's jealousy, and there's pride. And the priests did not take too kindly to the attention that the king was giving Lord Sri Ramanuj. The king also awarded that original scripture of Bodhayana to Lord Sri Ramanuj. However, the priests of that region stole the scripture, and there was going to be a volatile situation, and Lord Sri Ramanuj, after informing the king, left. So even in Lord Sri Ramanuj's time, expounding Vishishtadvaita was not a walk in the park. Many attempts were made on his life. As you've seen, the attempts in the past 6 years that I have started this institution, many attempts were made to derail this institution and my preachings by similar type of people, and it's not going to end. And I can foresee people from our own sampradaya in the near future trying to disarm me with this knowledge that I am spreading around the world. I can already foresee it, and I asked Vishwadhar to write this in bold when he's documenting and archiving this material, so that when this happens, then the Guru has already foreseen. For in the propagation of absolute truth, especially in Kali Yuga, where the ingredient is 25% to 75% evil versus good, evil in the region of 75%, then this is a natural phenomenon. This is a natural phenomena for 75% of the people in Sanatana Dharma itself will become enemies of this institution to retain the proportions of 75% to 25%. In light of this, in Satyug, people had 100% retention of scriptural knowledge. It means when the Guru gave this knowledge in one sitting, the populace would apprehend this knowledge. In the next yuga, Treta Yuga, they only had 25% of retention of spiritual knowledge. In Dwapara Yuga, they only had 50%. In Kali Yuga, although there is 25% dedication to devotion, there is absolutely under 1% of retention of knowledge if a guru speaks. And it is for this reason that Vedavyas or Lord Narayan incarnates at Vedavyas at the end of every Dwapara Yuga, so that he can compile this in writing, so you can read it instead of remembering it. Okay? So you understand the absoluteness of Vishishtadvaita. Can you see that this philosophy, the very first knower of this philosophy is Mother Lakshmi, and then personified when she manifests as Mother Saraswati herself, she endorses it through Lord Sri Ramanuj. Can you see the spiritual authentication? Can you see the spiritual authentication? The spiritual absoluteness? In this philosophy, nobody had a dream. Vishishtadvaita is not a dreaming philosophy. You understand? There are some philosophies based on dreams. I'm serious. Go and see these philosophies that are currently in vogue. And when you trace it back, you see somebody had a dream. And they proceeded with a dream. An entire philosophy with international people now is based on a dream. This philosophy is not based on a dream, it is based on the spiritual fountainhead itself, and it can be found in the scriptures. A philosophy should not be traced back to a dream. A philosophy should be traced back to scriptures, because only scripture can verify and validify a philosophy. Oh, God has wasted his time. God has wasted his time as Lord Sri Ram. God has wasted his time as Lord Sri Krishna. God has wasted his time as expounding the Bhagavad Gita. And at the Sri Sampradaya, we believe God has not wasted his time. So I've stated that Lord Sri Krishna is a Vishishtadvaitan. Lord Sri Krishna is a Vishishtadvaitan. When he was 5,000 years ago, when he was on this earth, he wore this tilak. Which tilak he wore? This tilak. Because Lord Sri Krishna is none other than Lord Narayan, and this tilak comes from Lord Narayan himself. And to verify in this Bhagavad Gita, it is very, very hot here, and I want to bring this discourse to a close because of the heat suffered by my physical devotees. I'm just going to close off by showing that Lord Sri Krishna is a Vishishtadvaitan, which he admits by himself. Chapter 14, verse 3, he states, "My womb is the great Brahman, that is Prakriti, which is nature. In that I lay the germ. From that, O Arjuna, is the birth of all beings." Now this, you do not have to be a rocket scientist to understand this verse. My womb is the great Brahman, which is Mother Nature. in that I lay the germ. From that, O Arjuna, germ will mean semen. From that, O Arjuna, is the birth of all beings. The word my womb means in what does Mother Nature reside?
Lord Narayan.
In God Himself. He never say in that womb. He said in my womb. My means that is within me. He can't say in my car. That is different. He owns the car which is separate. But you can't own a womb which is outside you. Your womb must be within you. And this is the philosophy of Vishishtadvaita, that all sentient and non-sentient beings and non-beings forms the body of Lord Sri Ramanuj. In both its subtle state, when they have no name and form, and in the effected state, where they have name and form. In both states, the living entities and matter form His body. And who is confirming that? Lord Sri Krishna is now confirming that in the Bhagavad Gita Himself. So Lord Sri Krishna is a Vishish Advaita. He also confirms that He is the compiler of all Vedanta. So this link between the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita is now confirmed in its absolute state. That the Bhagavad Gita is linked to the Upanishads, and the Upanishads is called Vedanta. So can you see the link? Lord Sri Krishna links the Bhagavad Gita with the Upanishads. Are there any questions? Jai Sri Ramanuj.